Sunday morning, Oslo, in the middle of our Europe camping trip. We're heading on a bus into town just to have a look at the city. Alvin's been here 9 years before.
Yeah, I was in this same camping ground, so I knew which one to get. So our strategy this morning is we've just bought an Oslo pass ticket for 900 odd krona, and that means we're going off into town on a bus here. So we just got to hove to and get the 43 into town. Are you going away up the north?
Later I'm going to the north,
Yeah. You're promoting now, are you?
Now I'm actually testing the moving network here due to the football game.
Oh, I see.
And all the show that's here in the evening.
I see, yeah.
But yes, I'm going to the Arctic race in the North Cape.
Yeah, lovely way up there.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting it on the camera.
No, that's fine.
Back to New Zealand, you see?
Yeah. A nice trip home after we in Norway.
Yeah, it's a beautiful bike you got.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
It's about
all the extras on it, eh?
It's about 35,000 US dollars.
Yes. But you've got something lovely, and if you look after it, you've got it for the future, huh?
Yeah.
Well done.
I mean, this one you can actually drive wherever you want. In the mountains, in trucks and roads.
Lovely, yeah. My same GPS as me, that's the only thing, eh?
Yeah.
Thank you, mate.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
This is a military installation behind us. It's a fort. That's all we know.
We've taken this little ferry across from Oslo across to the museum on the other side of the bay. The second time I visited the Viking ship museum. This boat was found about 900 AD in a burial pile. It had been plundered before, but basically 96% of the timbers were still intact there, and that's what they've resurrected here on display. They've got two boats here, two intact boats, this being the second one now. These funeral carts were found as part of the retrieval from the burial mounds. The Vikings didn't have seats in their boats. They rode from sitting on their tool chests or their clothing or war chests, so they minimised the weight on the boats. More examples of the funeral sleighs where they bodies were prepared for burial. I was amazed to see that the Vikings had invented the wooden wheel to use in their funeral processions right back in 980 AD. This is the bow of the FRAM. The FRAM was a wooden ship specially built for Arctic exploration. It had a very oval hull that would allow it to pop clear of the frozen ice. Its rudder and propeller were able to be locked in position so that they wouldn't be damaged in pack ice. FRAM was stuck in pack ice above Russia for approximately 3 years with 12 men on board. It had provisions for up to 5 to 6 years being stuck fast in the ice. The rudder was able to be pulled up out of the ice, and the propeller, a two-bladed affair, was able to be locked in the vertical position so that it wouldn't get ripped and torn in pack ice. TripAdvisor has voted the FRAM Museum one of the best museums in Oslo.
Yep.
So this rather comical statue is outside the house of a Mr. Ibbotson, and I think his name is Henrik Ibbotson, and this gentleman was referred to me as somebody that I could read, an author in Norway, someone who would explain the character of the Norwegian type personality. The person who made the referral to this gentleman was a man that we met in a cafe, and he came from northern Norway. I didn't even get his name, but his referral was definitely worthwhile. I had told him that I was researching an ancestor of mine from the 1850s, and perhaps that influenced him, but this gentleman here was as famous as Shakespeare in his time, and he's famous internationally as a writer of plays, and his main interest was the theatre. So basically his writings were very clever stuff, and they're still very much admired, but he was never desperately poor. He belonged to a family and knew a lot of the right people, even though when he was young he didn't have much money, but that certainly became no problem later in his life. And they say that one of his plays, I don't know which one, was an allegory of how Norway had sold itself out to the Swedish king, who was actually somebody who was brought in from France, and so he wrote some play that really gave a sort of an allegory as if his life, or the person he was writing about, was really a showman like Bonaparte, but that was supposed to represent the betrayal that Norway felt about losing their personality to the Swedish king, who was actually a Frenchman. So I've been in the man's bathroom, I've been in the man's bedroom where he died, I've been in the bedroom where his wife died shortly before him, and We haven't been into the actual room that he mostly lived in. He was a creature of habit. He wrote until 11:30 in the morning, then he went somewhere to a restaurant across the road and sat and watched people and eavesdropped, picking up characteristics of people so he could devise plots about real people. And then he came home and wrote for a short time, and then he had a bath and just relaxed and went to bed. So this was his life actually. He was actually a very kind of a shy person, but extremely famous.